being a civil rights activist throughout his career, Ashe won the 1968 U.S. Open, the 1970 Australian Open, the 1975 Wimbledon title, and was ranked number 1 in the world. In 1995, after 15 seasons in the league, four-time Super Bowl champion quarterback Joe Montana announced he is retiring from the game. Montana said he wanted to walk away from football healthy. And in 1997, 50 years after Jackie Robinson made his debut breaking the color barrier in Major League Baseball, the league permanently retired his number, announcing that no new player will wear number 42. The league held a ceremony on that day during a game played between the LA Dodgers and New York Mets at Shea Stadium. On April 15th in Major League Baseball is considered Jackie Robinson Day, where every Major League player wears 42. That's This Week in Sports History. I'm JP.
The teams, the games, the fans, the local talk. This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Take care, Grandma.
Okay, baby. Don't forget to let me know the second you get there.
Yes, ma'am.
My grandson always tells me I worry about him too much. And of course I do. I'm his grandma. Well, I was worried sick when he came home from Afghanistan. He came back wounded. It wasn't a wound you could see. It was a wound inside, post-traumatic stress disorder. My T couldn't sleep. He was angry all the time. He felt like he didn't fit in anywhere. Then I heard about this group, Wounded Warrior Project, people helping warriors like T. So I figured who better to help my grandson than people who could understand what he'd been through. Now, I don't know what they do there, but my T is smiling again. So I figured they must be good people.
1 out of every 5 warriors return from the battlefield with post-traumatic stress disorder. Help support them at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Football season never ends on Talk Football with Coach K.
Stidham is tearing it up at New England. He may well be the incumbent to Tom Brady there.
Former head coach of the Buffalo Bills, Coach K brings his expertise as he breaks down the game, the players, the coaches, and the front office. Plus, high-profile interviews from the biggest names in football. Talk Football with Coach K every weekday from noon till 1 on ESPN Pensacola 1330 FM 99.1.
From first take to your radio.
Zion, 16 games. Okay, how many games do they have left? About 20, 22 games. All right, so he ain't gonna even reach 40 games. Damn it, I mean, this first year in the NBA, which he's getting paid for, it's like a college season that do. Give a damn about no back-to-back. You're 19 years old. 19 years old. All right, figure it out.
1 to 2 weekday afternoons on ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
JP here. At ESPN Pensacola, we are hometown proud. Like the greatest pound-for-pound boxer of all time, Roy Jones Jr.
3-time light heavyweight world champion and former heavyweight champion of the world, future Hall of Fame legend, Roy Jones Jr.
What up? This is your boy Roy Jones Jr. and you're listening to ESPN Pensacola.
This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM and 99.1 FM, the only local station that talks sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. From Gullick and Wingo to the Sports Drive with Chad Brillante. Plus talk football with Coach K at noon, sports call every Saturday. If you'd like to partner with us as an advertiser or a promotional partner, just give us a call at 262-6000.
You're listening to ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. All sports, all the time. WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.
The following has been produced by Talk Football LLC. Former Florida Gators quarterback, NFL quarterback, and NFL head coach. Coach K. Stevenson has a resume second to none, and now he's sharing his insider information with you. Talk Football with Coach K starts right now on ESPN Pensacola.
Welcome into Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach K. Stevenson on this Friday afternoon with the weekend right around the corner. Hope everybody is doing well, staying safe, and of course washing your hands and, well, practicing social distancing. You guys know the drill by now. As we always do, we want to start out our show by thanking our first responders and healthcare workers, as well as our other essential workers, grocery store employees, truck drivers, all those. You know who you are right now. And look, I know that these people are working tirelessly right now. They're on what we call the front lines, and maybe a little bit different front line for somebody in healthcare, a first responder, to the grocery store workers, but nonetheless, it's all the front lines right now, putting yourself out there, trying to help us continue life as normal. I also want to thank organizations and people that are going above and beyond. Look, I know from helping deliver food to just to make sure people are okay, checking on people. We have seen our community do such a great job. There are so many different organizations and just people in general, just individuals that go above and beyond right now, taking care of people. That's what this is an unfortunate time, but I'm so thankful that we live in a place like this and that we can do this. We have such grateful people. The best has really come out in a lot of people. You can talk about negativity all you want to, but I'm going to stay on the positives on this. We're going to get through this. I know Coach, Coach feels the same way as we're waiting for Coach to join us right here. Remember, we're practicing social distancing as well. Coach being back at his home right now. So Coach will join us in a minute, but just going above and beyond, just thanking those people, because I think it's so important right now with everything going on that we thank those. Look, maybe it's something we realize we take for granted each and every day. Maybe it's you didn't take enough time with your family, or you didn't appreciate the things that we had before, that we will get back to normal. Things may be a little tough, but you know what? We're a lot stronger, and we're going to continue to get stronger, and we can only do this with everybody's help in this. I also want to thank our sponsors as well. Listen, that's the only reason we can come to you and give you this football information and talk some football with you. And maybe it separates everything going on. Maybe you're working at home, or you've got all this stuff going on in your life or whatever, and sports is your outlet. And right now there is no sports. It's going to come back. We're not sure how it's going to come back. Is it, right now it seems that sports will come back without fans. We're going to get through this. That's what we have to remember in all of this. This is going to be something that it's taking a toll on everybody. I miss sports tremendously. I think for me, I just go back to how interesting life was beforehand. I took for granted not having sports, and so when I look at that, I'm so appreciative of all the people around here and working for a company right here at ADX that does such a great job to try to reach out to everyone. It's awesome. It's special. I just thank everybody in our community again. I think it's so important we do that. But again, our sponsors, these are people that, we couldn't do this without them. We're so appreciative of them, and we thank them, from Levin Law, Hill Kelly Dodge, Bob Tyler, Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range, High Point Hotels. If I missed somebody, I apologize. This is something that I think is just, it's amazing right now. I won't spend too much time on it, but for our healthcare workers and our first responders, of course, these people, they put their lives on the line every single day. Just don't shake their hand. I've said it before, but just tell them thank you. I want to move on to something here while we wait for Coach to join us. Coach, trying to get him on the phone right now. Something interesting. Now, Dolphins fans, you maybe want to chime in on this. Remember, 850-623-1330 is our number. That's our studio line. Call in. Let us know what's on your mind. I think this is something that needs to be said. Brian, of course, let me get to my notes here. The Dolphins, of course, coming out and talking about Tua and talking about Justin Herbert. Now, we're hearing a lot of noise, a lot of things going on right now, where when we look at it on the surface, it may be not what we think it is. And maybe for some people, they're shaking their heads. They're not sure what's going on. I thought we were tanking for Tua. I've heard that over and over and over again. Chad and myself on the Sports Drive have talked about this before. I think, look, things have changed now. Tua was not injured. Look, the Dolphins were supposed to be they were supposed to get the first pick in the draft, and it didn't work out. So that's where I think in all this, things have changed for them tremendously. I just think that, you know what, we're going to get to that in a minute, because I'm going to go ahead and try to get Coach on the phone with us, because this is something I want to talk to him about, because I know Coach is reaching out to, and he has all the contacts that we need to hear from. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Miami Dolphins, and we're going to talk a lot about the draft as well. As long as, remember, today we break down a college team from the SEC. We're going to Ole Miss with Lane Kiffin. A lot to talk about with Lane Kiffin. You guys know that as well as I do, especially from a PR standpoint. All that and more coming back right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Sometimes your bank, your family, and your friends love you, but they don't have the money to help you. Sometimes we have chances to make money, but the old saying, you've got to have money to make money, rings true. At Pensacola Specialty Pond, we can help. If you have trucks, heavy equipment, airplanes, boats, jet skis, anything with value, Pensacola Specialty Pond can loan you that short-term money you need. No credit checks, and at Pensacola Specialty Pond, you're going to find the money and the discretion you need.
Now at 6428 Pensacola Boulevard, north of Car City. Call 432-9050, 432-9050.
Pensacola is an amazing destination enjoyed by millions of people every year. High Point Hotel Corporation is proud to offer area visitors a place they can call home in Pensacola. Whether you're looking for a downtown property with space to work and play, a place to rest your head before your morning flight, or a large suite for an extended stay, High Point Hotel Corporation has a place for you in Pensacola. Visit us today at the Courtyard or Resident Inn by Marriott in downtown Pensacola, or the Hampton Inn, Homewood Suites, Hilton Garden Inn, or the new Residence Inn near the Pensacola Airport.
A ranger station.
I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
I put out my campfire and Smokey Bear hugged me.
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Yep, he's just letting you know you did good.
Bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update.
I'm gonna let you go now. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
There's only one name in town when it comes to afternoon local sports talk. The Sports Drive with Chad Brilliante.
Some athletes don't want to be given... nobody does. No, look, when you play with your pops as he gets older, one of the most embarrassing things, my daughter's 3, I just slam it right in her face right at the play school hoop. Like right there, like I'm Zion Williamson.
The games, the players, the fans. ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach Kay Stevenson on this Friday afternoon with the weekend right around the corner. Hope everybody's staying safe, doing well. We're talking some football with you. As usual, Coach, this is something I want to get to now that we got Coach back with us here. A little malfunction nonetheless. We are rolling right along, Coach. So much to talk about. Look, when you talk about the Dolphins, we obviously know all the drama that's gone into this. And is Tua going to go to the Dolphins? Is he not? And things like that. Look, Dolphins general manager Chris Grier made a statement yesterday talking a little bit about these guys. When he was asked about Tua and he was asked about Justin Herbert, his comments were, these are both interesting kids. I've gotten to know both of them through the process. They're really good players, good people. They've both won. For us going through the process, quarterback is what everyone wants to know. But we spend a lot of time on a lot of top players, and it's no different with them. They're both very talented, and both have won a lot of games. Both are very intelligent players. And, Coach, we know that Tua, of course, has that beautiful release. He has that timing, the laser accuracy. He's the Dolphins fans, they did a poll the other day, and obviously unanimously Tua was the quarterback they wanted to take. And, of course, some Dolphins fans even went and said, we won't go to games if they don't draft Tua. We've heard this from all kinds of fans before. Look, Philadelphia Eagle fans, they've said way worse things than all this. But one thing that Brian Flores wanted to come out, the coach, of course, was just talking about this with everything going on. Chris Greer and Brian Flores came out and said, look, we've done a lot of things with us. We spent a lot of time with these guys, the coaching staff, the scouts. We've spent a lot of time going through all this. We've spent a lot of time with players, a lot of time doing this. We've spent plenty of years doing this. We're going to do what we feel is best for the Miami Dolphins. I would hope to the fans out there that they have some trust in us and what we're doing, and they believe in what's going on here. Now, Coach, I for those statements there, I don't think it's bad, to finally hear from these guys. What make you those statements? Are those appropriate statements, or maybe should he have closed his mouth?
Well, they're appropriate statements. They certainly are. Flores is right, and he's right on the money. But let me throw a couple of caveats in here. One, remember the fans still they are still hot about Drew Brees not coming to Miami because their medical staff told them they couldn't take him. Nick Saban was there, the head coach at the time, and Drew Brees was coming off an injury. And their medical staff would not release them to take Drew Brees. Of course, he goes to New Orleans, and the rest is history. They felt like that was a terrible mistake by the Dolphins medical staff. I'm not sure if it's the same medical staff, probably some of the same. The relationship with the owner must be very, very difficult. I'm just saying that because they're probably not taking any chances. Regardless of how you cut it, this would be a risky pick. Now, I have to admit to you, if I were sitting there right now, I would have more information so I could make a little better decision. But I would be hard-pressed not to take Tua and take a terrible chance, making sure that everybody's on the same page. So it's believe me, it's a very, very difficult thing they're going through. I keep hearing that they're going to take the Oregon quarterback, and that's what's coming through the wires now. I don't know that that's true. Okay, I certainly want to put a disclaimer in there. I'm not saying that's going to happen. That's what I hear. So if that's the case, then they're going to make a safe choice rather than a risky choice. That's what it boils down to. Now, they could miss on a not just a good but an outstanding quarterback in Tua. That's the problem they're facing, and the problem they're going to face in the future. Now, JP, if it turns out that Tua does play and he does overcome the injury bug and he's available and playing at the level he's capable of playing, it's going to be more difficult for the ownership, the coaches, everybody else in Miami.
Coach, in all this, of course, with all the drama, and we're going to have no idea until this happens, but one thing that a question I've seen pop up is, in order, Mike Greenberg come on Get Up and was talking about this to a few guys, when taking Tua in all this, with all that we know with the injury history, and I understand, with not being able to bring him in, if you're the Miami Dolphins right here, or whoever takes him here, is this going to be something where, and it is an interesting question, where, with Brian Flores and his staff there, Chris Greer, they've done such a good job. Sometimes there's some disconnect between these guys. We've seen that in teams. It doesn't seem there is with the Dolphins, but is this one of those things where it could possibly be, look, Brian Flores says, okay, well, look, I want to take Tua, but if we take Tua, I want to make sure that if this is a bust, that I'm not going to lose my job over this. Is this something we think, does that happen in the NFL? I'm just curious. You've been there before, Coach.
Yes, it does, absolutely. That's a part of this decision. That's a part of what we're talking about right now. Flores has only been there 1 year. Okay, he does not have the relationship with the administration, the owner, that other coaches would have. Let me give you another example. If the New England Patriots were up and Tua was available, and Belichick decided he wanted him, and he's going to take the risk, there's no question. They pull the trigger and they draft Tua. There's no way that Flores has the same relationship with his owner as does Belichick. Now, if it's an organization where they all get together is relative in this day and time, maybe virtual if they do it or whatever, but they all reach a decision that we're going to take the risk, which includes the ownership, everybody else. Regardless, we're going to take the risk. And if we miss, we miss. But if we hit it, we've got our quarterback for the next 12, 15 years, and he's going to be an outstanding quarterback. They all get together on that, then you do it. But if they're not all passing on that, and let me tell you where the owner will stand. In most cases, and I would bet he is in Miami, this is what you're running into, he's going to say, I will not pass until the medical team that we put together gives an okay. Now, so much more pressure goes on the medical team. If you catch my drift here,
yeah, absolutely.
That's why it would be likely that if that's the case, and I think that's a likely scenario, then they're going to draft Justin Herbert.
Yeah, that's the coach. I know that's the feeling we're getting. You know, for some people saying, well, there's smoke and mirrors. It could be smoke and mirrors. That's why I said we're never going to know until this happens. But the reality in all this is, look, Tua has been injured. There is some questions, and it did hurt him. That look, the reports just came out, of course, today that the Dolphins tried to get Tua into their camp to get him. They were going to have an in-depth evaluation with their doctors and everything, and it didn't happen. Now, with that being said, that hurts Tua just because now there's so many indecision. That's why, when you look at Tua putting out these videos, Tua saying, I'm 100%. I'm 100%. I could play right now. I doubt that. I doubt that 100%, but I get what he's doing because there is some question marks in all this. And I think, look, for Dolphins fans, I know it's been bad before, but it's hard pressed with the equity they have this year. I get how good Tua is, but man, it's just such a risk if you take a guy. Now, he could go be your quarterback for 10 or 15 years, but at the same time, this could be one of the biggest busts ever because you just hate it. You don't want the young man to get hurt, but the injuries, they're there and they've happened, and there's multiple surgeries. You just can't ignore that. As many times he's been injured in college. This young man is not like you look at a Cam Newton who has been injured in the NFL. That's the difference there. So a lot of question marks with that. But, Coach, I want to move on to the New England Patriots.
One other comment.
Go ahead.
One other comment on this, because it's going to be one of the main attractions of the draft, if you want to call it that. And that is this number 3 position that Detroit has in the draft, the third pick, really comes into play right now. Example, if somebody says, well, look, Miami's playing the word game, and if he gets to number 5, they're going to take him. And I don't think Miami should, if they're going to take Tua, take him at 5, don't take a chance on trading other number 1 draft picks and go double and triple jeopardy if he is there. But what if somebody has made the absolute decision out there that they're going to take Tua? They're going to take the risk and take Tua. And what do we have to do to get him? We've got to go to number 3 to make sure that Miami's not bluffing. And that could happen if somebody that needs a quarterback moves up to number 3, then look out, they may be moving up to take Tua. So that'll be another interesting possible scenario in the draft.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, in all this, there's so much question. And look, next week, we're less than a week away, of course. When you look for the draft, it's going to be interesting because there is so much drama in this. But nonetheless, Coach, I want to bring up the New England Patriots. Just interesting here. We hadn't talked a whole lot about them lately. Well, rightfully so. They've been fairly quiet, as they always are, it seems, in the offseason. Of course, with the Tom Brady issue, that's kind of over with now. We're assuming Jarrett Stidham is the guy. They like Jarrett Stidham. We know that. We've heard about that. But Ian Rappaport, he is an NFL guy. Ian Rappaport has done a lot of stuff before. I'm not sure about this. Now, Rappaport said, from what he's hearing, of course, this is a fairly guess and from other sources that he's hearing outside of Patriots camp, because obviously Patriots camp doesn't let anything outside unless they want to. And he expects the Patriots to spend a premium pick on a quarterback next week in the draft. He doesn't expect Jarrett Stidham to be their starting quarterback. He said, right now, I actually believe Brian Hoyer is the starting quarterback of the Patriots, but I think that's something that will be ever evolving as we go through next season. So, Coach, when you look at this, of course, he has picked a few guys that he believes the Patriots could take. He believes that Jake Fromm is a guy, and Jacob Eason is one of those guys. But, Coach, with him saying that he believes, of course, Jared Stidham, he doesn't feel that he's the guy right now. And this is, of course, hearsay for me and Rappaport. But we've talked about this. I can't imagine Brian Hoyer being the guy. I could see maybe, I don't know. I think he was signed to be a backup. I think there is a lot of faith in Jared Stidham. But could the Patriots, I mean, we've seen them, look, when they have a guy they want to go after, they'll go after him. They're not afraid of it. But can we see the Patriots taking a quarterback in the first round, Coach, or do we see this being later on in the draft?
I don't see it, and I'll tell you why I don't see it. The Patriots are above anybody else in the National Football League committed to placing a value on the draft picks. Now, if they feel the value is there, which means a great mixture of different criteria. Let's say where they put in the mixing pot here, and I'm really oversimplifying this, but I want everybody to understand that they put in the pot, our pick is coming up. We have identified a quarterback that fits our personality to the T. We think that he would be akin to another Brady as far as work ethic is concerned, as far as attention to detail, intelligence, football savvy, all the intangibles, plus he has the ability, physical ability to play quarterback in the league. Now, if that's the case, and you put QB by that name, then he moves way up on the value list. Before, he may have been a second, rated as according to the value, and then they put a number. By the way, this is a numerical number they place on each and every candidate for the draft and prospect. And even though the numerical number puts him down in the second or third round, if you mix that quarterback, that QB title, into the deal, into the scenario, his number would change then based on their particular formula. Okay, he may move up high enough to be picked in the first round, but let me tell you, if they've got him valued as a second or third round pick, and he doesn't move up to there, they won't draft him. They're committed to that value pick deal, and I don't see that happening unless they have a guy pegged, JP, that they say, hey, we're committed to this guy right here. We've got two quarterbacks. We want to bring this guy on. He could end up being our quarterback. It could be Stidham. I think that's what they're looking at, and I don't think they've given up on Stidham by any shot. I just think they're looking at what could possibly be. And I think that's where they are, and it could happen.
Yeah, I agree, Coach. I think Stidham's going to be the guy, but we'll see. I mean, it goes back to the things you've said, Coach, from Jake Fromm. He looks like a guy that could fit perfectly. With the Patriots, that's the thing in all this, Coach. You mentioned this yesterday, and you've mentioned it plenty of times. We have no idea what the Patriots are going to do, and that's the way they like it, and that's the way they'll keep it. That's part of the reason they've had the success they've had. They only release something if they want to release it. There is nothing that sneaks out of there. So that's all I'm going to say. That the Patriots are the most secretive franchise, and you know what? They've had a lot of success. So that may be the coup de grace there when you talk about it.
Hey, they should. That's a good example. It should be a good example to everybody else that want to run their mouth too much. And believe me, a problem or an illness in the league are those that want to run their mouth and talk about what they're going to do and talk to friends or tell an old buddy who's in college not thinking it'll get back, and it gets back and it hurts your franchise. So Belichick's known that for a long time. It goes back to Parcells. Keep your mouth shut, lay in the weeds, and when it's time to strike, strike.
Absolutely. That's the Patriot way. And you know what? As much as the Patriots have always been a thorn in my side, being a Titans fan, finally got them back this year. But nonetheless, this is the success. You cannot argue with success. I mean, that's ultimately what it comes down to. But, Coach, I want to talk about the NFL draft. Of course, it's coming right around the corner next week. Look, offensive linemen, there's a couple things I want to get to, but starting with the offensive linemen here, we've been talking about how deep this draft is. And guys like Mekhi Becton, who's 6'7", 364 pounds, ran a 5'1". He has a wingspan that's bigger than 7 feet. He's huge. He has tremendous upside, but they're saying his weight has to be monitored, which he's very athletic, but at the same time, 364, that's a hoss. Guys like Tristan Wirfs from Iowa, Jedrick Wills Jr. from Alabama, Andrew Thomas from Georgia, Josh Jones from Houston. I can go down the list. I mean, this draft is so deep that when you go back and you look at a couple things, and this is something that I've mentioned as well, when you look at the linemen, I think there's going to be, right now, Mel Kiper has, I believe it's 10 offensive linemen projected in the first 2 rounds. And remember, the first 2 rounds are typically, these are impact guys, obviously. And then when you get in the 3rd and 4th round, that's where you try to find those value picks almost. And so 10 offensive linemen projected in the first 2 rounds, and that's saying something because of how deep we are at quarterback in this draft, how deep we are at wide receiver, and other positions as well. Look, this is, Coach, when you look at the offensive linemen here, we know some teams that need these big bulldozers up front. But this draft, when you talk about these guys, some of these guys are just absolutely off the charts. This is special when you talk about linemen. We haven't had offensive linemen like this in a while.
No, you're right, and especially at the tackle position now, that's another plus. We've had some guards and centers, but they don't value. I would value the center much higher than most teams do, but that's me. But the tackles are a premium, certainly because they handle that edge for you, and the quick pressure coming off that edge is detrimental for sure. And you get the better pass rushers out there. Now, what I hear, and I'm going to give our audience, our listening audience, some information that I have heard from a person who evaluates players for the draft. And the consensus of opinion is that the offensive lineman from Iowa, I forget his name.
Tristan Wirfs.
But, yep, he may be the best of all of them. The kid from Alabama is well thought of. And this has to do with a lot of the intangibles as well. And, the big kid you're talking about, loaded with possibilities, and he's not all just potential. He's legitimately an outstanding tackle. But he would be in the top 5. The one guy that there's some real question about, and I think it has to do with his work ethic. I'm not sure, so I don't want to be quoted on that, but that's my supposition, if you will, which is not worth a darn. But he's not. I do know he's not valued as high in the draft, and that's a Thomas kid from Georgia.
Right. Yeah, Andrew Thomas over there. That's I've heard that as well, Coach. And I think we go along all the time. We look at offensive linemen, and we think Wisconsin and we think Georgia just because of what they put out. And Andrew Thomas, that could be one of those that this from what I've read says the pedigree makes you want to say yes, but the work ethic you can kind of question. So that's what I've heard as well, just from reading his scouting profiles and stuff. It's interesting. Coach, speaking of scouting profiles on this, we talked about the running back position, or we haven't talked about the running back position, but I want to right now, just because there's this guy on here, and me and you talked off the show before about this guy, Coach, Jonathan Taylor out of Wisconsin. This guy rushed for over 6,000 yards in 3 years. Now, there is some naysaying about that as well because of the wear and tear on a running back, but just in his profile, remember at the Combine, just to let you know this guy is the real deal, he's about 5'10", 5'11", about 225 pounds. He runs a 4.39. He's got a vertical jump of 36. And he bench pressed, of course, when you talk about strength, he bench pressed 225 17 times. When you talk about this guy, a couple things they said, of course, with his strength. He has the prototypical height, weight, speed, and durability, and this is from his breakdown into the combine. Of course, he had 200-plus yards 12 times during his career. He rarely rushes the run and allows lead blocks to eat it up. Deep line of scrimmage press for cutback freedom. He sinks, plants, and cuts with one-cut talent, which is very special. He's a great blocker. He chops out legs from blitzers. When you look at the weaknesses, now, he tallied over 300 touches in all 3 years, so he has over 900 carries in those 3 years. He fumbled 15 times over 3 years, and his limited catch total could be more drops. And they don't think he's going to be as dominant out of the backfield. Now, Coach, I'll give my little piece real quick, and I know you have some opinions on this as well. Look, I know he's dropped in the rankings. I know DeAndre Swift is dominant. He's special out of the backfield. But when you look at a guy like this who was as dominant as he was, I think that, look, the offense in Wisconsin didn't ask for him to catch the football out of the backfield. I don't think that's necessarily his fault. I think this is a guy that can get so much better. I'm hard-pressed to see one of the big knocks on him is not catching the football out of the backfield.
Well, let me give a good example. First, let me say I really don't like Jonathan Taylor. I think Jonathan Taylor, to me, is almost the prototypical NFL back. He's big enough to take some of the hits. He's got that low center of gravity, which you think about all the great running backs. They've got a fairly low center of gravity, and they have the ability to bounce off initial hits if they don't wrap up, if the defensive guy doesn't wrap up, and then they have the burst to not only span and come out of there, but the burst to separate. He's got all that. Now, the other thing, his knock is in the passing game, receiving. Let me tell you, let me give you an example of how that can be so easily misconstrued. Back in, this is a number of years ago now, but we drafted in Buffalo, and the second round, a guy out of Auburn, a kid out of Auburn named Joe Cribbs. Auburn had an unbelievable backfield. They had all three of their backs. They were in a wishbone back then. So they didn't throw the ball. They only threw the ball 2 or 3 times a game. And obviously Joe Cribbs had no work catching the football. They didn't care whether he caught it or not. But when he got to us at Buffalo, we needed a person who could catch the football, and we worked with him and worked with him and worked with him. And the kid was an outstanding work ethic and a desire to be great. And I don't know how many hours a day he would work on that jugs machine, the automatic plus a quarterback throw into him. And he became, even though a kid that was projected to be non-existent in the passing game, he became the league leader in receiving out of the backfield. Of all the backs in the National Football League, for 2 years in a row, he was the number one receiving back in the league. So don't tell me it can't be done. If you've got a running back with all the physical ability that a running back needs, which is considerable, and the intangibles to go along with that, you can work on catching the football. Listen, this guy's not a guy who's totally void of any athletic ability. He's got great athletic ability. He can certainly, his eye-hand coordination can be worked on and improved, and he can be taught to catch the football. And I project that he will do that and do it well. So I'm not buying at all the knock on him about not catching the football. That's left up to the team to make that happen. But he's an outstanding running back, and somebody's going to get a jewel with Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, I think it's a no-brainer. I mean, look, Jonathan Taylor's he's a great locker room guy. Guys have said that. He's a hard worker. He just shows up and plays. The injuries haven't been a concern for him. You see over 6,000 yards in it, and the wear and tear. I think that's a part of every player in general, but that's just the running back position in general. I think, look, he was taking care of himself, and that's something that we see. How often do we see a running back have the career that he had and not really be injured and not being hobbled or anything? And And you can say, people can say what they want. Well, Ohio State shut him down. Well, yeah, but remember, Wisconsin was one-sided, and that's the difference when you go up against dominant teams like that. Even the best can't get away. So it's just different. I agree, Coach. I think Jonathan Taylor, look, he's a special player. I would even hope my Titans would take him, because imagine to have Derrick Henry and Jonathan Taylor in the backfield. That would be so much fun, just because of the dominant ability of both those guys. But, Coach, one thing before we go to break, I thought this was interesting reading some of these the scouting just the opinions of people talking about the mock drafts and things like that. This was an NFC coach. They won't release who it was, but talking about Joe Burrow, said he ends up with a pro coach in Joe Brady and a really good system with the best players. He's a great processor, and he is everything you'd want in a quarterback. If I took him in the second, third round, sure, he's not a natural thrower. He can't really pump it down the field. Now he can throw the back shoulder, and uncovered he's got anticipation, but the ball's wobbling. Love him, but I think he is a high-risk guy at number 1. Coach, I don't know if this guy still has a job or not, but that's I would beg to disagree with this guy.
My guess is he's not working as a coach. He's doing something else for a living. I also would say that even if he is coaching, he's not coaching quarterbacks or receivers or any skill position, because he has no idea of evaluating a quarterback in particular. That's wrong. That I would disagree totally with that. Now, I will agree that was a good system for him to be in. He did have a good surrounding cast. But let me tell you, how many quarterbacks ever would have had a 73% completion average with as many throws down the field as he had? The anticipation, the overall grasp of the offense, the ability to get the ball to the matchups that presented themselves, his analytical ability was better than, it was like having Brady playing college football. Outstanding. Everything I can say about the grades that you would put on a quarterback, he's at the top of the list. Now, I wouldn't put. I'd like to know who that was, because that's probably about as far off base as anything I've heard recently.
Well, Coach, if he did have a job, he may not have a job anymore. That's for sure. He may be cleaning the locker room instead of helping coach these guys up. But look, nonetheless, we're up against a break right now. When we come back, we're going to break down the Ole Miss Rebels. Lane Kiffin is at the helm now, which brings a lot of excitement to the state of Mississippi. But we're going to talk a little bit about their schedule, some stats from last year, as well as what they have coming back this year. All that and more right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
What's up, Chad here from the Sports Drive. Well, no sports to talk about. March Madness canceled, every major sport, so maybe you get to spend some more time around your family. Oh, what? Not supposed to touch anybody? Well, just go home and watch Price is Right. But if you are older, you have a better chance of getting it. Right, Mike Gundy? Oh, 40? You should be all right. And he won't be broadcasting sports, but one guy that feels the same way we all do with no sports, probably Joe Buck.
Oh, gosh. Oh, man. Oh, my goodness.
Sports Drive 5 to 7 with no sports.
Pensacola is an amazing destination enjoyed by millions of people every year. High Point Hotel Corporation is proud to offer area visitors a place they can call home in Pensacola. Whether you're looking for a downtown property with space to work and play, a place to rest your head before your morning flight, or a large suite for an extended stay, High Point Hotel Corporation has a place for you in Pensacola. Visit us today at the Courtyard or Resident Inn by Marriott in downtown Pensacola, or the Hampton Inn, Homewood Suites, Hilton Garden Inn, or the new Residence Inn near the Pensacola Airport.
Pensacola's own NFL Hall of Famer Emmitt Smith has some tips for us during this time.
This fight is up to all of us to try to help bend that curve. It's going to take teamwork. It's going to take us to stay committed, stay focused, and stay dedicated to the mission at hand, and that is to keep everyone safe. So be encouraging. Find some support. Find someone to talk to every day to encourage them to keep on continuing in this fight. And we will beat this pandemic.
This is Davis Allen from Sports Call with Davis and Justin, and you're listening to Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach Kay Stevenson on this Friday afternoon. Weekend's right around the corner. We're talking some football with you nonetheless. Coach, talking about a team that, we talked about Mississippi State yesterday. We're going to stay in the state of Mississippi right here and stay with the Ole Miss Rebels. Now, this is, of course, a team with Lane Kiffin at the helm. A lot of question marks. Matt Luke leaving. A lot of people didn't believe he was going to leave so soon. Nonetheless, he is gone. And Lane Kiffin, let's enter the Lane Kiffin time here. This is a guy, of course, we'll talk about in just a minute, that has plenty of drama that's come with him. But last year with Ole Miss, of course, they going 4-8, losing the Egg Bowl, averaging 26 points, which is a little underwhelming because of the offensive talent they had. That ranks 82nd in college football, and then giving up a little over 26 points, which is 59th in college football. This is a team, of course, that for many Ole Miss fans, they've never tasted that ultimate success necessarily, but very down year. Now we understand they were rebuilding a little bit, but they have a lot of good pieces that are coming back. We'll talk about that in a second. Want to talk about their schedule? They open up with a tough game against Baylor. They're supposed to play it in Houston at NRG Stadium. Then they're back home for a couple games against Southeast Missouri, and then comes the Auburn Tigers coming into Oxford, Mississippi. Then they go on the road to take on LSU. Then they're back home in Oxford for Alabama. We've seen them upset Alabama before. Then they go to Nashville to take on Vanderbilt. Then they're back home for a few games. They're playing the Florida Gators, important at home. Then they're taking on UConn. Then they go back on the road to take on Texas A&M and Arkansas. Then back home for a couple games to end the season right there against Georgia Southern. And then, of course, the Egg Bowl of Mississippi State is in Oxford this year. Coach, when you look at this team, it was disappointing last year, to say the least. Like I said, they have a lot of talented pieces. It was a little bit of a rebuild, I guess, for them, but nonetheless, it was not what Ole Miss fans wanted to see, especially the way the season ended with the player, of course, in the end zone there at the end of the game, acting like he was a dog and doing things he shouldn't have done, and they get the penalty, and then it cost them the game. So just unfortunate for what happened there. Now, I think with Ole Miss Athletics, Director Keith Carter, he explained it. Look, he wanted somebody to come in and wanted a coach who could absolutely take over the room and galvanize people. Well, Lane Kiffin might be that guy. Look, I think he's rehabbed his coaching image a little bit. I'm still not sold on him. Look, at Florida Atlantic, he won more in his 3 seasons than the Owls did in the previous 7 combined. That was a program that was in shambles down there and tough to win. He did a great job. And I think the most important thing, leadership-wise, is he did it without any hint of a major scandal. Now, one thing, Coach, I will say with Kiffin, I think that he has to do to have some success this year, he's got to stay out of the off-the-field headlines. Like, we know this is a guy that loves his social media. I don't think it's a problem. If you get a big recruit, you can make a statement. Kids love that. Everybody loves that. But there's been some drama. How's he going to handle playing Alabama again? You know, what is going to happen with this? He already came out when he got hired and said he was going after some of the Alabama coaches. And people go, okay, here we go again. Lane Kiffin's going to stir up some drama. I think that's something he needs to kind of stay away from. I'm not sure if he can. It depends on his DNA and how that works out. But I do believe for their team, he has guys like John Rice Plumlee coming back and Matt Corral, which are two talented quarterbacks that I think Rich Rodriguez was the offensive coordinator there before. He's not anymore. I think this will be good to get them in a system here that could fit them a little bit better. Now, these are two guys that can run the football but can also throw it a little bit, and I think that's important. The key here, offensively, they should be okay. They're returning 7 starters. They've got, Jerrion Early is coming back, which is a running back that's very impressive. They got a little bit of depth there. The offensive line is going to be a question mark. But the big question mark is, look, they have 5 starters coming back on defense, and these 5 guys weren't necessarily world beaters when you look at them. The one last thing that I will say, I believe, in my opinion, year one, with a schedule like that, it is tough, but there's plenty of winnable games. There's 6 winnable games on that schedule. You need to have a winning record, a bowl record right there, and you need to win the Egg Bowl. Mike Leach is in town now. This is more important than ever for these guys because now this has got a little bit of a rivalry back to it. We already know how nasty the Egg Bowl is, but when Mike Leach is over there, there's a lot of hate being thrown across that field. So I just think they need to win the Egg Bowl. But, Coach, when you look at Ole Miss, when you look at Lane Kiffin, what do you think about this program moving forward?
Well, you've given a real good rundown there, JP. I like Early, the back there. I think he's a great back. The other thing that they have on the real plus side is that the Egg Bowl is in Oxford this year. Big rivalry, obviously, with Mississippi State. So those are the pluses. Mississippi, the University of Mississippi, despite the great previous tradition, the tradition that they've had there, but that goes back, that's back in ancient times now with Johnny Vaught and that group. They really have not been able to come close to anywhere near those glory years. They keep hoping, but it's very difficult to do. Lane Kiffin carries a lot of baggage. Now, I've known Lane since he was a little guy, a toddler, almost, maybe a little bit more than a toddler. I hired his dad, Monty Kiffin, at Buffalo when he was a youngster. So he was noisy then, let's put it that way. And he's still, you're right, he cannot let certain things go without making the wrong comment or just saying anything at all. There are so many times that I thought he had learned his lesson. Now, I will give him this. He did an outstanding job down at Florida Atlantic, as you said. I think he really did a great coaching job down there. But one time doesn't do it. You got to do it over and over, and you got to keep your mouth shut. You can't be promoting
There, Coach. Coach, I think we lost Coach right there. Look, I agree. When I look at Lane Kiffin, I think Lane Kiffin. The question mark in all this is Lane Kiffin going to be what we hope he will be? I think where's the maturity level start with him? And I think with his team, he has a really good team. I mean, you look at what he did with FAU. Like I said, I have the utmost respect at what he did there, and he did it with little controversy. That was one of the big things in all this. I think it's interesting just to look at Lane Kiffin and look at, can he, I guess, fight the urge to go against the grain of everything that he's kind of built now with the maturity level. When he got his jobs when he was 30 years old, People were looking at him as a youngster, and he kind of acted like a youngster. It was a little in over his head. Well, he's 44 now. I mean, he's grown up, and I think Ole Miss, when you look at this, the fans, of course, his first press conference, they packed out the arena there to go see him. There is so much want right now when you look at Ole Miss to have success in all this. And that's where I look at Lane Kiffin. And you know what? If anybody can do it right now, and you talk about recruiting, it's tough to recruit. It's a little bit different now. Mike Leach is there. The SEC got so much better getting Mike Leach and Lane Kiffin. That's just my opinion. I think these are two guys. When you look at the coaches in the SEC right now, outside of a couple of them, this is phenomenal. This is going to be fun. I think Lane Kiffin, with a quarterback situation, he is going to have a heck of a time. I think Jerrion Early, like Coach said, is an important piece to this. When I look at this team defensively, that's where the question mark lies with me. Can they defensively stop people? And that's where I don't know. Look, I think with Mike Leach, we know that his MO is not playing a whole lot of defense, and he's going to outscore you, and he's going to score some points on you, and he just doesn't care. Lane Kiffin, what is his MO going to be? He's done a great job getting some good coaches around him. Not sure what's going to happen, though, until he hit that field. With everything going on right now, Lane Kiffin coming into Ole Miss, there's nobody can really get on the field together. They, not having spring practice and things like that, not getting to play their games, their spring games and stuff. Like, where is this going to lead? And I know everybody's going through it, but for coaches that are new, trying to rebuild, I think it's tough. I think it's going to be tough for Lane, but nonetheless, I think the most important part is he has to get to a bowl game. They need to show up in their bowl game, and they need to win the Egg Bowl. Beating Alabama is going to be a long stretch of the imagination right now. Maybe down the road, we saw Ole Miss teams that have upset Alabama before. I just can't imagine it happening. Still working to get Coach back right now, but I think it's time to take a break anyway. When we come back, there's some interesting things I want to talk about. Look, Caesars released the NFL overs and unders for the Super Bowl, as well as Tua announcing he's got, multiple endorsement deals. Interesting to see what Coach's thought is right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
There's only one place in town for the lowest prices and greatest selection of firearms. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Visit our fully stocked Gun Pro shop for new and used firearms, accessories, and ammunition. Check out the Indoor Shooting Range. We offer rentals on guns, including fully automatic machine guns and silencers. Ladies, this is the safe place to learn how to use a gun. Plus, Tuesday is Ladies' Day. Women shoot for half price all day. The best place to buy firearms in Pensacola. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Highway 29 in Car City.
With legends like Emmitt Smith, Derek Brooks, Roy Jones Jr., and Bubba Watson, all hailing from the Pensacola area. And that's only to name a few. This begs the question, who's the greatest Pensacola athlete of all time? Join Sports Call with Davis and Justin this Saturday from 11 to 1 for Selection Saturday as Davis Allen announces the field of 16 athletes. Throughout the next few weeks, you can vote for who you think is the best athlete in our daily athlete matchups at our ESPN Pensacola Facebook page at ESPN Pensacola.
Pensacola is an amazing destination enjoyed by millions of people every year. High Point Hotel Corporation is proud to offer area visitors a place they can call home in Pensacola. Whether you're looking for a downtown property with space to work and play, a place to rest your head before your morning flight, or a large suite for an extended stay, High Point Hotel Corporation has a place for you in Pensacola. Visit us today at the Courtyard or Resident Inn by Marriott in downtown Pensacola, or the Hampton Inn, Homewood Suites, Hilton Garden Inn, or the new Residence Inn near the Pensacola Airport.
What if we got rewarded for every good decision?
Dinner. Meal needs a vegetable. Check.
Amazing!
Vegetables cooked with a healthier oil instead of butter?
Fantastic! Replacing bad fats with healthier fats like those in canola or vegetable oil is good for your heart. Take up the challenge for good health because the you of the future will say,
Fantastic!
Visit heart.org/face the fats. Canola Info proudly supports the American Heart Association's Face the Fats campaign.
Talk football every day with Pensacola's own Coach K.
Credit a great performance by Garoppolo. And I love the way he throws the football. He's got all the things going for him.
Every weekday, noon till 1 on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 FM 99.1.
The teams, the games, the fans, the local talk. This is ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach Kay Stevenson on this Friday afternoon with the weekend right around the corner. Hope everybody's doing well. We're talking some football with you. Coach, I want to get into a couple things here real quick. I know we only have a few minutes. The first thing, just want to knock this out of there. Tua announces he has, signed some endorsement deals before the NFL draft, already before the NFL draft now. He has not even been taken by a team yet, but with Bose headphones and Muscle Milk. Coach, any thoughts, opinions on this to Tua? Just we've seen this fail before with Baker Mayfield, but just anything you want to say to Tua with all this?
Yes. Take note of what Baker Mayfield did. It was dumb, even though it was a lot of money, I'm sure. But his relationship with his teammates and other players in the league may be worth more than that. Be very, very careful about exposing yourself and taking advantage of too much of that too early. You're gonna create some animosity among teammates and other players. No doubt about it. It may not be obvious, but it'll be there.
Yeah, I hope that Tua will handle it properly. Just don't get ahead of yourself in all this. That's the only thing that I would say personally. But Coach, so I want to talk about this real quick. The Caesars Palace, of course, Caesars Sportsbook released the over/under for the NFL. The New England Patriots came in at 8.5, which I think is actually respectable just because right now this is a team that's depleted. And to give you an idea of a team that is supposed to win the division that everybody's talking about, the Bills only come in at 9. So, Coach, when you look at this, 8.5 wins, would you call the over or the under right now, knowing what you know about the New England Patriots?
I think that's pretty much on it. Call the over/under because it'd be tough there. To be safe, you might call the under there at 8. I'd say they'd come out of there with 8 or 9. 8 or 9, right around that mark is going to be where they come out of there with. That's my opinion.
And, of course, the Kansas City Chiefs have 12. And the one that's interesting to me, the Baltimore Ravens, they have them at 12. Coach, do you see the Ravens having the same success next year?
No, I don't. I take the under on them.
Yeah, I agree. I think, of course, losing a tight end as well. I just think it's something you've said before with the Ravens, Coach, that whole system, people are going to catch up to it. You saw the Tennessee Titans. I know that Lamar Jackson had 500 yards passing, but what did he do in the red zone? And that's where it counts. You can get all the passing yards you want, and they shut him down. They shut that team down in the red zone. I just think that it's going to be a lot more of that this year. This is a team that I know they're talented, but they're going to have tough sledding.
Oh, yeah, people are going to catch up with their offensive scheme is not sufficient to go all the way in the National Football League. That's my opinion. They can be good, and they can give people trouble, but more and more trouble is going to come their way as they go forward with it.
Yeah, I agree with you, Coach. And, I just think the Ravens, it's going to be a tough sledding for them. It's you like the players. Lamar Jackson was a great story, but I think that's all going to end. But, Coach, that sound means it's time for us to go. As usual, we have so much we didn't get to today, but we'll do it Monday. It's been a pleasure today, Coach.
You bet. Look forward to next week. Hey, next week is draft week, buddy.
Absolutely. Going to be a lot of fun right there. Well, listen, we appreciate our listeners tuning in today, and we'll be back Monday, same time, talking some football with you right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
It's First Take Your Take on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80, and ESPN News. I'm Jason Fitz. We're presented by Progressive Insurance. Happy Friday. Holy cow. Pass the Tylenol. You made it to the end of the week. We'll get you some headlines you need to know. Not surprisingly, at this point, the MLS has just begun discussions with MLS Players Association about having players accept significant salary cuts due to the coronavirus pandemic. This is according to multiple sources. The talks took place on Thursday by a conference call that included the MLS Commissioner, Deputy Commissioner, and the MLSPA Executive Board. So these discussions come amid the backdrop of the league-wide shutdown that's been in place since March 12th. We'll see what it means for the MLS people moving forward. Speaking of changes, interesting pick here. Interesting moment here, I should say. The NFL draft is going to be held as a mock virtual draft on Monday, so the teams get a chance at a trial run before the actual draft kicks off under these unprecedented circumstances later in the week. So the exercise likely is going to give GMs the opportunity to redraft some NFL legends, according to ESPN's Dan Graziano. Of course, teams do not want to tip their hand at all at what their actual intent is, so they'll use legends to go in and give everybody an opportunity to sort of at least practice what the draft process looks like. And a little bit of college basketball news. North Carolina freshman Cole Anthony, a projected lottery pick, has declared his eligibility for the NBA draft. He did that today. In the announcement, he thanked Coach Roy Williams and the staff at North Carolina, as well as his teammates and fans. He's ranked 11th in the ESPN Top 100 for the 2020 draft after averaging 18.5 points, 5.7 boards, and 4 assists per game for the Tar Heels. He did miss a significant chunk of the season following knee surgery, but he has now declared his intent to enter the NBA draft. It's First Take Your Take on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80, ESPN